Let me make a few observations here about patterns of consumption in the wake of Lord Smith's film policy review, which was widely welcomed when it first appeared a couple of months ago. This spring, the BFI, as lead agency for the film, will publish its consultation for a new 5-year plan, 2012 to 2017, informed by that review. The effectiveness of the Print and Advertising Fund supporting film distribution was spelled out in the Smith report, and I really urge the BFI to prioritise the boosting of that fund in the immediate future, because it's the most directly targeted and tangible way to connect breakout and specialised films with their audiences. And given the review's commendable focus on audiences, a clear P&A strategy should be at the heart of the BFI's thinking. As data in the FDA Handbook showed, the top 12 distributors account for more than 90% of UK cinema going. Dozens of other distributors and hundreds of titles make up the remainder. If the BFI want to maintain the diversity presently on offer, and I know they do, but which is actually under threat, then focused deployment of lottery money via the P&A fund isn't just desirable, I believe it to be utterly essential. During the ongoing years of digital transition, funded largely by distributors, the need for P&A support remains particularly acute. I was talking about the BFI. I'd very much like to welcome and endorse the appointment of Ben Roberts as the new director of BFI Film Fund. I only know him through his work, and I had the pleasure of congratulating and I think awarding him some awards for marketing a few years ago. What I like very much is he's clearly audience focused, very contemporary, and my suspicion is knows full well that what the BFI need, what the British film industry needs over the next 2 or 3 years is hits, and preferably hits coming from somewhat unexpected sources. And I would suggest the only way of achieving that is to be prepared to back to the hill a movie when it appears to have found an audience. There's a lesson I learned many years ago. Michael Gray isn't here, but I know he would endorse it because I think it was engraved on his heart. Remember the movie Hear My Song? Some of you saw it? It was a really good film and was made with money from Channel 4 and others. At the premiere, it got a fantastic reaction, and word of mouth was very, very strong. And the problem was, by the time people realised what they had on their hands, there wasn't sufficient time or money to make enough prints to get out to a big enough audience, and the film did very decent but modest return. And I believe, and I know that Michael continues to believe, that had they been ready for the success that film was, or had they believed more firmly, I think, in the commercial success of the film, it could have quadrupled or quintupled the amount of revenue it actually drove at the box office. And that is a lesson. It is those lessons, I think, that need to be kind of ingested and thought about. Because when you've got a hit, when you suspect in your bones you've got a hit, you've got to get behind it. There's no point in making something modest, which actually could have been tremendous. The customers are out there. They want to find it. It's our job to ensure they do find it. Another review recommendation was for there to be more flexibility on theatrical windows. This is hardly a new concern, but it's one that, in the context of my remarks today, could make the sector look even farther removed from perfectly fair customer expectations. It remains an utter nonsense, for example, that a movie which opens in cinemas for Christmas cannot routinely be a home entertainment release for Easter, in whichever week Easter happens to fall. Railing against prevailing culture is usually, in the end, a futile exercise, whether you're in business or in politics. We're all aware that exclusive windows is a commercial issue to be resolved on a film-by-film basis, but I'd urge the industry to consider some more bilateral innovations before the government moves in and attempts to intervene. Let me mention just one further film policy review recommendation that I think demands immediate attention. As I said a moment ago, the conversion to digital cinema is being funded largely by distributors' contributions, and in terms of UK installations, the job is already 2/3 done. But, and this is another underlying theme this morning, greater flexibility is still required. A one-size-fits-all approach simply doesn't work for limited-scale releases, where prints cross over to other cinemas or increase rather than decrease from week to week. Many of you will understand the details of this only too well from your day jobs, but I know that discussions were well underway to reach an accommodation on some of the outstanding mechanics of digital transition even before the Film Policy Review cast its own spotlight on the issue. And I'm equally certain that a solution enabling every distributor to go on representing a wide range of films will be the one most likely to satisfy all of the parties' best interests. Last among these action points, for want of a better word, but far from least, there's an ever more urgent need to develop aspects of citizenship in our schools. I raised this last year, and as if on cue, the riots in July, I think, proved the point I was trying to make. We are dealing with a disconnection, and we are dealing with an issue and a problem that is being insufficiently addressed. The part of the curriculum that was dedicated to citizenship is intended to hone transferable skills in communication, inquiry, engagement and analysis, encouraging kids to become far better informed citizens with some experience of moral and cultural issues, past and present, and therefore better able to make responsible choices. Not instead of maths and English, obviously, but as well as them, and in many, many ways actually complementing them. Now, building an early understanding of authorship and an appropriate respect for IP belongs within the nucleus of citizenship, and the economics and business studies too. The industry cannot possibly afford for the "it's so easy it can't be wrong" or "who cares anyway" attitudes to copyright infringement and to theft to become so ingrained in successive generations that it becomes well nigh impossible to dislodge them. In a sense, I would argue, we saw an aspect of that in the riots last July. Frustration, availability of goods behind windows, and a sense that there was a world out there that was inaccessible. It's all part and parcel, if you like, of the same, in my judgment, of the same mindset.